Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Have You Ever Played podcast, the only podcast that runs on Duncan. It's me, Matt, aka Matt Fondude, and I'm with my co-host.
Yes, it's me, James, aka James04E, Dunkin' Donuts lover.
Duncan Head 69 on Twitter.
Dunkin'
I'm out
Head.
here. I'm eating the box. I'm getting one whole box of Joe, sucking it down, busting it out, eating some Munchkins. What's your favorite? Let's off the cuff. What's your favorite donut type?
Ooh, I like strawberry frosted donuts. Those are good.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the strawberry frosted, like the pink frosted sprinkled one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I like a jelly filled donut as well. I'm a big like a raspberry jelly filled donut.
Not too crazy about the jelly. It's not that I don't like the taste or anything. It's just like the texture. Like the jelly just like slips out sometimes and can get messy.
Oh yeah, it can get
It's
all
a
over you.
it's a gamble.
I like a chocolate donut as well, or a just classic glazed regular donut.
Yeah, those are good.
I am not a fan of cake donuts. They are just cake. They are not a
Cake
donut. What's the
donuts.
point? Yeah, it's a cake donut is like it's made of cake batter basically. So it's basically just a cake in the shape of a donut. But
Oh,
what's the point? Just give me I want a donut. If I'm eating a donut, give me a donut. I don't want cake donuts.
yeah. I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Anyway, welcome to the best video game podcast full of video game discussion on the currently what you're listening to internet. Um so James, it's been a little bit of time. I've been like weirdly crazy busy
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm finally settled and can actually maintain the podcast and the streaming schedule once again.
Based.
I'm in a little bit of less craziness right now, so I think we have a lot to catch up on. Maybe we could start with a little gaming news from the upcoming from the past weeks, I guess. Um,
Yes.
One thing I would like to talk about is Metal Gear Solid 3 getting announced for a remake. Metal
Ooh,
Gear
yeah. That's
Solid
cool.
Delta. Yeah. Did you see the trailer teaser at all?
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that one.
Did you ever play Metal Gear Solid 3?
No, I didn't play Metal Gear Solid 3. When I was younger, I can't remember which Metal Gear Solid game it was. My stepbrother had it for his like PS2, had one of the games for his PS2 or something. And I
Yeah,
like
it
played
had
it
to have been
very
2 or
briefly. It was one of
3
those
then.
things where it's like played it for a bit, my parents found out I was playing it and got mad.
Yeah, I played 2 and 3 and I also so 2 and 3 on PS2 were some of those weird Japanese games well, they were some of those games that got a re-release. So there's subsistence I believe for both of them. I don't remember
Hmm.
wait what they're called. Metal Gear Solid 3 was it Snake Eater or was it Subsistence?
It was Snake
I
Eater, I
think
think.
Snake Eater is the subtitle, but Subsistence they did like
Oh,
the
I
Kingdom
see.
Hearts re-release
Oh no.
where it was like the Kingdom Hearts final mix where they just added some content and changed some stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I had multiple versions. I didn't understand what that meant at all. But I played it and really enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 3. I think it's like the fan favorite Metal Gear game for
Hmm.
sure. But and Konami's doing a remake of it, which is cool, but do you think it's gonna be good? Like, do you think
Yeah,
it's
that's
gonna
the question, actually. Oh man.
like because it's modern Konami, so
Yeah,
it's
and also
for
like
the money,
uh,
TM.
and also like Kojima's not really involved in it either, at
Well, he's not
least as
involved
far as
at
I can
all.
tell. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, as far as I can tell as well. Um, I mean, we got the pachinko machine they had made in the past for Metal Gear Solid 3 pachinko machine that had a bunch of like HD graphics, and people were like, "Why don't they remake it?" Um,
Man.
yeah, so I guess I am cautiously optimistic toward it. I think the actual good news that came out is the fact that they are doing a Metal Gear Solid collection of all of
Hmm.
the games, which will be coming to PC, Steam specifically, I believe, which is
Ooh.
good. unlike
Paw.
the Kingdom Hearts collection, which is still trapped on Epic Games Store and being
Oh
sold for
no.
like $80 or whatever the price is for those games.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. When's the last time you booted up the old Epic Games Store?
I did it recently for a playtest for one of my friend's games because it was on
Hmm.
it, but like, oh man, it was horrible. It took like a few minutes to actually just start up. Man, it was rough.
You know what the thing is? I don't care how good the storefront is. The fact that there's more than one, like I'm gonna be using Steam. A majority of my games are on Steam. I
Hmm.
don't want to have 15 storefront launchers open at the same time, trying to look for what games I have.
Yeah,
And
even
I. Mhm.
even just between Steam and BattleNet, I think it's my brain's starting to shut off.
Yeah, and I know there's GOG Galaxy, which is like the good old games Galaxy launcher, which basically tries to consolidate all launchers into one library. And I've used
Hmm.
it in the past, but I've had issues with it and games unlink accounts unlinking and then not
Yeah.
installing games properly. It's not a real solution in my eyes.
Hmm.
Um, I just wish I had the option to buy these games on Steam, but I understand why a company would want exclusivity with Epic Games since their like split revenue wise is way better in terms of
Yeah.
overall sales, and they also Epic Games basically just pays developers for like from what I've heard, they would just pay an amount of sales. Basically, they would just give you the money up front, so you have almost no risk as like a developer. It's like why wouldn't you do it for like
Free
a
Monty.
temporary exclusive? Yeah, and
Infinite
eventually
money
it can
glitch.
come to Steam.
Yeah.
Um, Eventually, like Kingdom Hearts will probably come to Steam at some point. It's
Yeah,
just a waiting game.
I remember Borderlands 3 had like 6-month exclusivity, I think,
Mhm.
for Epic Game Store.
Yeah, I own that game on Epic Games, which is funny. It's one of the few
Yeah.
games that I own on Epic Games Store.
Sag.
I'm glad I have Rocket League on Steam still. It's no longer available for Steam users, but if you have it,
Hmm.
you're grandfathered in. You can still use it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, well, more PC ports, and so they're releasing the games in volumes. So volume one has one, two, three, I believe. Um, and I'm assuming a volume two would probably have Peace Walker 4, and I don't know if they're going to include 5 in that. Maybe they'll include like Metal Gear Acid 1 and 2 and Portable Ops or something.
Hmm.
Be kind of a weird collection. Um, but yeah, Metal Gear Solid 4 has been stuck on the PS3 for so many years. The only way you can play it is on the PS3. So,
Man.
uh, did you ever play Infamous on PS3 as well? Infamous?
I did play Infamous, yes. It was mostly at a friend's house, but I do have experience with the Infamous.
I want to revisit that game, but again, it's locked to PS3, and I believe
Hmm.
specifically Infamous is just not very like with the PS3 emulation. I believe that game is not very stable with PS3 emulation right now either. So it's like
Yeah.
I would love a collection of those games. They could do like a triple collection of Infamous. I think there's 1, 2, and like Second Son or whatever the hell they did. Um, those games are pretty cool,
Hmm.
but yeah. Man, poor PS like the PS3, there are so many like poor video games trapped to that console that you just can't play outside of it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, James, what have you been up to in the time since we've talked?
Well, besides the normal games, Dota and Apex, I picked GTFO back up because I had a friend group that was into it, and out of nowhere they just said like, "Hey, we haven't played GTFO in a while. You want to just like play it?" I'm like, "Okay." Literally, like, haven't played it since October.
Hmm,
And then I've also gotten into Magic the Gathering a little.
the card
Um,
game or like
yeah.
a video game version?
Well, it's a video game version of the card game. It's Magic the Gathering Arena.
Oh, okay.
And so initially, I was just uh, looking at the color system for that game and stuff like that because I actually think it's a really cool system that's uh, really important to understand for game design. And and then one of my friends has kind of said like, "Hey, do you want to play?" Because I have a few friends from college who have been playing the game since they were kids, and then I have one friend who's a professional player.
Mm.
So yeah, I definitely have like resources to learn the game. So so it was like a couple of days ago. I just said, why not? I'll try it out. It's actually pretty fun. I'm normally not too crazy about card games. Like I like the gameplay, but I don't like the deck building very much. Especially since in games like Magic, where you need resource cards and things like that, there's a lot of it's almost like hidden that you like need to know what your ratio of resource cards to like creature cards and spell cards needs to be and stuff like that. And it's not that intuitive. I do have people that can teach it to me though, so it's not too bad. I
Have
think
you
like
heard of the card game player archetype?
yes, I have.
And like it sounds like you fit firmly within one of those in terms of you enjoy using decks, I guess, like that are pre-made.
Yeah, it was like Timmy, Johnny, and Spike, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember those. Let me look this up again, see which one I am, because I remember I was firmly one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think from my small foray into card games, I didn't really get into the deck building either. I was more of just like kind of using some pre-made decks and like trying that out. Probably why I never really got too crazily into those games. Uh, but anyway, while you're looking up which archetype you fall under, um, what is this digital version like?
So have you ever played Hearthstone?
Yes, I
Yeah, it's
have.
kind of like that. So, you start up the game. You so Magic the Gathering has five different colors. There's white, uh, black, blue, red, and green. Each one represents a specific ideology slash playstyle. Like black is like necromancy, sacrifice, decay, death, things like that. White is like order, uh, armies, like the value of the group, uh, peace, but also large amounts of strength to end battles quickly. Red is like freedom, aggression, fire, like goblins, orcs, things like that. Green is nature and gaining strength over time. So they'll have usually have these like big units that they keep buffing up and buffing up until you eventually just kill everything on the or just kill all the enemy's cards and then kill them inevitably. And then blue is a bit about gathering knowledge, counter attacking through inconvenient means like flying, which flying attacks can't be blocked unless you have your own flying units, and I guess like different sorts of forms of delaying the game. But they aren't actually that great at closing out the game, so they're usually merged with something else.
And what is the like monetization like in this game?
Um, so you can buy card packs. You naturally get card packs by playing the game, so it's not too bad from my experience so far. They give you default decks in each category. So like, if you want to play like black cards, you don't have to, go searching for a bunch of black cards. Like you'll just have a deck of 60 cards by default. And they give away free decks for events and or free packs for events and things like that. I haven't played enough where I think I'll like really feel the need to spend money on it, but I do know that they have like special packs that come out and stuff like that.
Yeah, one thing that deterred me from Hearthstone, for example, was I would find a cool deck and then I would be missing like half the cards, so I couldn't actually do the deck.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of more like is this a relatively new game or is this just been around? This
Um
version.
this version, let me check. It's pretty new. It came out earlier this month.
Mhm. Because I know games like Marvel Snap, which are like newer card games, are trying to they realize that people don't want to just play a card game where you can win just by buying the most buying the most cards possible and just playing the meta.
Mhm.
So I'd be interested to see what what their solution to that is. Although, I mean, the real world card game itself promotes, buying the cards and
Yeah.
um using them in your deck.
hmm Yeah. Not like I'm looking it up right now because I know that there are other video game versions of Magic, and there's all sorts of different weird random versions. But from what I understand, Magic the Gathering Arena is the current like official like standard version of the game
Hmm.
as far as video games go. Yeah,
So
like
it's
I'm
kind of like, yeah, it's whatever. Is it actually like competitively played, or is it just kind
yeah,
of like a okay? Okay, so it's
yeah,
like the Pokemon Showdown of Magic the Gathering. Well, actually official, I would assume.
yeah. Yeah, like the with all the descriptions it has on Steam, it's saying like it's the official version of the original card game, stuff like that.
So is it does it take a lot of cues from Hearthstone in terms of the actual like display of the cards in terms of like how they're played out? I know it obviously it follows the actual card game rule set, but is it uh simplified into video game form for like people who are maybe not as familiar with the rules of the game?
A little from my experience, instead of having like an energy or mana counter, you actually get your energy or mana from cards. Like you just play the same card, and that'll give you energy or mana basically. I think it was a little weird to me because they're just kind of stacked on the left side of your screen. So it's a little weird to know how much you have at times. And also I noticed that it was initially kind of hard for me to read the cost for cards because it'll be a number and then it'll be the color symbol. But it can be the color symbol like a couple times. So I think what it means is like you need to have a certain amount of these of this color card or of this color land card, which is basically mana. You need to have a certain amount of those on top of the number, I think. I'm not really sure why it works like that. I would have to ask, but
Mhm.
who knows?
So in terms of new user accessibility, where does it stand in compared to a game like a Dota, where they don't want new players to ever play that game?
Well, I
Um,
think I think it does a pretty good job. The tutorial is basically the game gives you a white deck and it has you play one of each of the other colors and like a really strong boss. Um and so you get a pretty good idea of how that deck plays. I think they want white to be like the introductory color. And then after that there are color challenges where you play every other color once. And then I think the final part of the challenge is you play somebody else with a deck of the same color, but I think it's actual matchmaking, which
mhm.
not really sure how that works. I haven't gotten that far yet. Then they have challenges where they give you a specific deck and you have to beat a couple enemies with it, things like that. So it's a lot of opportunities to really learn how a deck will play, which is really nice.
Now, is you mentioned there was a boss fight. Is there single player content too, or is it just like
Yeah,
versus?
it's like playing against bots basically.
Mhm. Is there like a story campaign, or is it literally just like bot training matches?
I think it's just bot training matches. There's kind of a story going on with throughout the training matches. Like it's like you wake up and you have this little Legend of Zelda style like spark thing. Like it's literally called
Mhm.
Spark, and it's like saying like, "Oh, you were asleep for a while," is the classic. And like apparently the boss you fight at the end is like the person who knocked you out or something.
You know what? Rocketing off of that into a segue. Did you? First of all, I don't even know if you own a Switch. To be honest,
I
um,
do not.
you do not. Okay, so the answer to this question of have you played the new Legend of Zelda game would be probably a no.
Yeah, no.
Um,
I've had a lot of people
Tears of the
ask
Kingdom.
me.
I
I've
haven't
seen some
either.
gameplay.
I haven't even looked at it. Like I don't know why I don't I maybe just becoming a different person when it comes to certain games, but
hmm
I just don't care about it like almost at all. Um and I think I will play it. I'm going to if I was to play that game, I would buy a copy of it
hmm
and then I would just emulate it because I would buy a copy to support the game because I would feel bad about, emulating a game that just came out.
Yeah,
But I would buy a copy, and then you could literally play it on in any other way possible, like on just on your desktop or something, and run it at a higher frame rate at a better resolution and have a better experience
man.
than playing it on the Switch, which is just it's just sad.
Yeah.
Um, I can't bring myself. I think maybe part of the reason is now that I have the Steam Deck, I cannot bring myself to take out my Switch and play anything on it even though Nintendo software is always really great. It's just like I need it. If maybe if they made a Switch Pro and people were kind of speculating, maybe
Hmm.
if it was more powerful, but it's not really just how they roll. And it's like I don't want to play Zelda at like 12 frames a second. To be
Yeah.
honest, it was passable with Breath of the Wild when that was new and the hot thing, but like I'm sure the game is fantastic and I will play it one day. It's just I think there's a better time to play it is in the future.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember I did see there was a there was a part of like a puzzle or a mission or something that like a bunch of game devs were losing it over because it was some really advanced physics stuff.
Hmm.
It was really funny because there was this whole discourse like everybody who's not a game dev was like, "This looks simple. What do you mean it's really hard to do?"
Did they like advanced physics as in the actual game engine, not like the puzzle requires you to do equations?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it was something
Yeah.
with like it was like a moving, twisting platform that extended out into a bridge or something like that. Like
Hmm.
it was like some like a log on wheels extending a bridge or something like something similar.
There's probably some like collision, some crazy
Yeah.
like collision mapping and stuff to make it not like horribly broken.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've been playing. I think my recent thing has been playing backlog games like PS4 error, and you know some of these like AAA games. Like I think a lot of AAA games pass me by, and I just don't check them out.
Hmm.
I've been playing God of War 2018. I
Ooh,
am
nice.
close to beating it, I believe. I've been doing a lot of the side content, but that
Uh,
game
where are
has a
you right
ton
now?
of side content. I am right now. Let's see if I can say this without any spoilers. Which funnily enough, I actually do know mostly how the game plays out anyway. But for the listeners, I don't want to really spoil anything. Let's just say let's see. How do I put this? I
Did you go to the
refought.
scary green place with the skeletons yet?
I don't even know. Wait. Yes, Wait, I am back. I've just ended up in heck again for the second time
Okay.
because the boy had a tantrum and the boy was being like, "Oh, we're so epic and cool and gamer, like we're so pog," and Kratos is like, "Boy, you can't. With being pog comes great responsibility," and he's like, "But we're pog," and then things shenanigans happen because the boy thinks he's pog.
Hmm.
Actually, I could just say he got another knife. He got another knife. I
Oh,
don't know why I'm being so vague because this game is from 2018,
yeah.
but
It's been a while.
Um, I would say I'm like 80 to 90% of the way through the main story of the game.
Hmm.
But the there is so much side content
Oh
in
yeah.
that game and like optional boss fights basically. And I'm playing on not the hardest, but the second hardest difficulty. And
Hmm.
a lot of the optional content seems pretty kind of tough.
Yeah, I also played it on the second hardest difficulty. I remember doing all the Valkyries was
Yeah.
it got to be hellish at one point. And I finally
Yeah.
finished it and I'm like, wow, I just don't want to play this game anymore. I don't want to use like all the armor that I got from
Yeah.
it. It was like, damn, I just have like nothing else to do.
See, this game is giving me a question that I have. This is like an age-old fight within myself with these kind of games. Do I
Hmm.
try to squeeze all the side content out, even if I'm not necessarily having fun anymore, and then I'll fall off and not beat the main story? Or do I beat the main story and tell myself I'll go play the side content after, and then just not want to revisit it because I beat the game?
Hmm.
It's the classic tale as old as time. Uh, something I did with The Witcher 3. I played that game over the span of like 5 or 6 years, just because it's like I just would play a lot of side stuff. And it's like I gotta do all the side stuff before I beat the game.
Yeah.
Um,
God, that just reminded me. I really want that Cyberpunk DLC to come out.
oh yeah, Cyberpunk. I would honestly, when that comes out, I'll probably revisit the game and
Yeah,
do like
definitely.
maybe a new playthrough,
I
new
heard that
kind of
they're
build.
actually like it's gone from like an expansion to they're actually just like reworking a lot of the game.
Yeah, I would imagine. I feel like that game will be very. I mean, it already is actually a pretty good game right now as it stands, but eventually that game will be something that will be like, oh, everyone loves this game. It's one of the best games. Blah blah blah. You
Hmm.
know. But the launch, people will forget about the troubled launch. Maybe like a Diablo 3 situation. Although that game had many troubled updates before people actually
Yeah.
kind of liked it, and then even then they still liked indie game versions of Diablo better.
Yep.
But um yeah, no, God of War is really good. I'm upset that I won't be able to play Ragnarok unless I buy a PS5 to play Ragnarok.
Sag.
I mean, if I wait a couple of years, it'll probably come out on PC, I guess now. But it's like that's sad.
Hmm.
But I've never beaten any of the other God of War games, so I'm gonna go and play through all of them. I think just for
Yep.
fun. Why not? But yeah, that's where I've been doing. I dipped back into Terraria a little bit as well. Been just playing that. The game keeps getting updates. That game keeps getting final updates every other month. So yeah, it's still a fantastic game. What have you been up to any other video game things besides Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, I've been playing GTFO. It's like for those that don't know it, it's like a survival slash horror game. I don't my definition of horror games is weird because I think that the game is not scripted. The only horror is in the fact it's atmospheric, basically. Like you're in like a dark place. There's a bunch of monsters that react to light and movement, and you set off like alarms and you attract a bunch of them, stuff like that. But yeah, it's been really fun. It's very you have to be very coordinated. It's the type of stuff that our friend group would be terrible at.
Oh, it's a multiplayer thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's 4-player co-op. It
I've
is
seen the name, but I haven't seen anything about it.
yeah, I would say it is near impossible to succeed in that game without 4 players.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like it's like timing and stuff is so important and you have to like delegate roles and things like that. And also like just having 4 people aware of things is like one mistake can literally just get everybody killed. Like if you wake up one of the monsters by accident or like you shoot by accident or something, then you just attract like a massive horde and you just die.
I feel like those are some of the best games, like the 4-player co-op games where you just have
Hmm.
everyone in like a call on board.
Yeah.
But they're just so hard to organize unless you're like really trying to get a group together.
Yeah, like it's also like you just have very low resources. You find stuff around the map, but the game is balanced in a way that you physically cannot shoot your way through things. Like you just don't have enough bullets.
What? All right, I'm gonna pull up a picture of this thing. Is it? I thought it was like, isn't it like a pixel arty thing, or am I completely off?
No, no, no. It's
What is?
like it's a little. The graphics are a little more realistic.
Okay, it's the. Wait a minute. I remember someone wanted to play this, or okay, it's for yeah. This is not at all what I was thinking it was, but I remember seeing this. It's on my wish list.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it looks fun. So it's almost like uh, it's like a 4-player cooperative but like a real. Does it have like realism elements to it with the survival? It looks like almost Tarkov-y.
Yeah, like there's some cool stuff like you can see your character's pulse and like
Mhm.
like the lighting. There's lots of stuff with lighting and like monsters being alerted. Guns have like really high recoil and like low ammo, stuff like that. Like it's like the generic like realism stuff, but it's actually for a purpose because it's a survival game.
Yeah. I think I've spent more time buying video games recently than playing them. I'm just like looking at my library right now. Like I bought
Yeah.
that. I mean, there's a lot of good sales. I bought that Dead Space collection. Haven't played any of
Hmm.
those. Metro as well. Um, yeah, there's just a lot of games. Like I've been getting it. I've been dipping my toe into the like YouTuber horror game genre of
Oh yeah.
like I bought Hello Neighbor, a game that I knew nothing about. Um,
Hmm.
Give it a shot. Honestly, it's good stream games. Although I will say, when I do stream, I feel like these games are so covered in media. You know what I mean, from streamers
Yeah.
and YouTube content creators. That when I do stream a game like that, we have little Timmy the expert in the chat who just tries to help. They try to help, right? Little Timmy tries to help, but little Timmy is like backseat gamer hell when I stream games like that. They will just be like, "Here is where like I'm gonna help. Here's where every secret is in the entire game, and also the boss is weak to this, and also here's like how to let me join your game so I can I have a maxed out character if it's multiplayer. It's like let me join your game in Terraria. I have a maxed out character. I'll give you all the max gear. It's like what's the I don't understand. You know, I get you're trying to be helpful, but you're making the experience lame.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need you to join. First of all, if I'm playing a single player thing that has the option for multiplayer, I probably don't want to play multiplayer with the viewers unless I'm like advertising the stream as that because
Hmm.
I could be, I want to experience certain things I want to experience on my own. Um, Especially for stream content, like I want to, experience the game. And if I have someone literally like on a max level character join, and just one shot everything in the game, it's not that fun, but
Yeah.
that's a little I digress. Stream rant and um do you have any other so you're just playing GTFO as well.
Yep.
Any other gaming exploits you've been up to?
No, not really. Nothing else. Nothing else crazy.
Hmm. You've
Nothing
been
else
watching any
wacky.
shows or movies recently?
Um, shows or movies? Not too much actually.
Hmm. Enjoy a good video essay on YouTube recently? Watch any good shorts?
Let me see. I think I did see a video essay recently, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I just sit here and consume random videos like all day. I've been getting into just watching like what's been going on in like random YouTube drama
Hmm.
stuff, which is just like good background content for when I'm walking around in God of War trying to like look for runes or whatever the hell you do in that game.
Yeah.
Um yeah, but let's see. Yeah, gaming, so we've covered the news TM, which is like I never know what actually is going on with like full on gaming news stuff. Oh yeah, there was some like Nintendo Switch games that got announced for the like there were some Nintendo Switch games for the online service for GBA, but it was just
Hmm.
like Mario Advanced. So it was like Mario Advanced, which is like Mario 2 GBA remake, Mario World remake, and Yoshi's Island remake. Problem
Hmm.
being, like the all three of those games are I think all three of them two might not be but all those the other games are available the Super Nintendo versions and it's like there are differences between the NES and the GBA versions
Hmm.
but it's it's minimal really with those games it's for in terms of if you're picking one over the other I would probably play the SNES original versions of
Hmm.
those games for the most part. But it's cool. It's kind of lame. Nintendo is giving people three games, three GBA games. Honestly, Nintendo Online could be such a good service if they offered like way more content, way faster.
Man,
But yeah, I don't know. Imagine it's for people who've never
imagine.
heard of emulation, I guess. So
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm looking at other like news articles and it's just weird stuff on here. Nothing I can never find anything like really too substantial. Um I'm looking right now. Project. Oh yeah, there was like a PlayStation Remote Play handheld, which
Oh
I
yeah, I
thought.
saw that.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch the PlayStation showcase. I just saw some of the announcements from it.
Hmm.
Um, I thought or initially they were gonna do like kind of a Steam Deck situation, but
Hmm.
it's just kind of like a stream player. Like it's basically a controller for your phone, sort
Yeah,
of.
it basically just streams your PS5 screen.
Yeah, and I guess what if internet gets better, or if I guess it's already good enough, I guess, for streaming, but it's a matter of if in-home internet streaming becomes more, affordable and widespread,
Yeah.
then streaming games may be at some point almost, indiscernible from, running it on your own hardware, I guess.
Hmm.
But this might be a another case of still too early, for the technology.
Yeah.
Um, as we've seen with Stadia and whatever the hell Amazon's streaming
R.I.P.
thing is,
Stadia.
and Steam Link, and uh, I just cleared the dust off of my Steam Link thing that I got for like a couple dollars when they were clearing them out. Um,
Hmm.
actually, a pretty cool little device, especially when I got it for like a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Um, but still, I don't know, streaming. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I was saying earlier with PS3 games. They're all locked behind like either a PS3 or a streaming it on PS4 or 5 from their streaming, service, which is just like not great. Not the ideal way to play those games.
Hmm. Yeah. You just from the PS5 talk reminded me. A new trailer came out for Spider-Man 2.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I
Yeah.
didn't see it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was showing off like the symbiote suit, and they got Peter Parker being really edgy. It was
Nice.
it was funny because apparently the voice actor Yuri Lowenthal, he said like,
Mhm.
yeah, I did all this research on like people who are suffering from addiction to really play the role. And everybody on Twitter is just saying he I love this because he sounds like he's imitating it like Batman or something, and it's not working. like, like
Yeah.
like this is what a nerd thinks Batman's like.
I mean, that's kind of what Peter Parker character is with the symbiote suit in terms of at
Yeah.
least the Raimi trilogy, Spider-Man 3. Um and I mean, I've been reading some of the comics like Ultimate Spider-Man. I've fallen off that a bit again cuz it's so much. To read
Yeah.
Ultimate Spider-Man, I need to read like 15 other like sub-stories that vary in quality.
Yeah.
Um I was reading Ultimate Spider-Man, and then there's a part where I was reading like a reading list, order list, and it was
Hmm.
like, okay, read this comic series. I think it was like there's a bunch of thing called like Ultimates Volume 3, and the Ultimates are the Avengers and the Ultimate Spider-Man whatever universe.
Yeah.
Um and it was like this big crossover event thing, and it was about how like Scarlet Witch is banging her brother, and like Tony Stark has a sex tape scandal, and
Oh
there's
yeah,
like
I remember that one.
robots, and it's like, what? This is first of all, this is stupid. I'm reading this like it's like it's so funny because you're reading Ultimate Spider-Man and like the art's nice and it's kind of fun, and then you're reading like these spin-offs where every single woman character has the same face and just like weirdly overly sexualized, and just everyone is like saying damn, I hate those damn I hate that damn Ultron. Like it's like the Shadow of Hedgehog of comics. And all the characters feel weird because they're written, I think, by different people. That is the one thing about
Yeah.
comics where it's like, oh look, here Spider-Man's here, but he's like, why does Spider-Man look like a fully grown like 35-year-old man, even though he's like a teenager
Well,
in this comic though? And also it's like it's just weird. I
that
don't
reminds
know.
me. I recently saw this picture on Twitter. It was Spider Man and Captain America, and I swear every comic artist nowadays draws Captain America with the most unrealistic physique possible. Like he's like literally it's Spider-Man X Captain America. Captain America could hold his entire body in his hand. It is
He needs a
ridiculous.
giant neck too.
Yeah. Have you
Oh
seen
man.
the picture where it's like his chest is just huge?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god, it's crazy. But I was thinking, comics have been downhill since the writers found out what sex was. Legitimately,
There's yeah, there's it's weird. um it's like the Minecraft sex update. It's
yeah.
too much power.
Like the comic nerds needed to stay virgins for for
No,
the integrity
it,
of
it was
comic
but it
book
was
writing.
so whiplash because it's like honestly in a way it kind of works thematically because if you read his Ultimate Spider-Man, if it's almost like you're like viewing that Ultimate Universe through Spider-Man's eyes, and Spider-Man in that universe is like a teenager basically, so
Yeah,
everything's kind of sanitized for the most part. And then then the first like Ultimates Volume 3 thing I start read is like the most unsanitized, like they're hiding like weird incest implications and sex tapes and who
yeah,
is like murdering people and stuff. Like his Hawkeye's like family's all dead. And it's that arc, I guess, that they like
hmm,
kind of touched on in the movies a little bit.
yeah.
Um Hawkeye is running around with the guns right now and just shooting like civilians. He's
Guns.
like he's like I just no, he literally Hawkeye in this in right now in the part where I was reading, Hawkeye's running around with guns shooting people just being like I don't deserve to damn live anymore in this damn world. And just like shooting I think he like
He
shoots
finally
someone, it causes like some sort of like global world like event war when he shouldn't have shot them. It's
Haw-
just like
Hawkeye
nonsense.
causes World War I.
Yeah, as a joke, like it's just some weird stuff going on, and it's like you have
Yeah,
to read all these side stories because if you don't, if you go from like issue 141 to like 142, like 3 universe resets happen in between the
yeah.
issues, and Peter Parker will be like, "Hey, remember that time we all hung out and killed Thanos?" And everyone will be like, "What?"
Everybody
It's
would be
just
like, "Who's
weird.
Thanos?
Yeah, it's like
What's a
just weird
Thanos?"
stuff. Oh my god. Yeah. No, comics. I like the Spider-Man video games because it follows some form of the comic somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's almost like its own little canon, which is kind of easier to follow. Uh, I played a good amount of Spider-Man when it was on PS4, and I will play Miles Morales and Spider-Man and beat them on PC when they go on sale for a okay price. They've only gone on sale like
Hmm.
once, and it was only a couple bucks off. So
Yeah.
I hope to get them for cheaper. Yeah, but yeah. You know what? I think you'll want to answer some viewer questions,
Sure.
and by viewer questions, I mean viewer question. Uh,
Hog.
but if you have a question, you can email us at hyeppodcast at gmail.com. That is the hyeppodcast at gmail.com. We have a question, a real non AI generated question, because we've
Oh my
made the
god.
distinction in the past from a friend of the show, a one Connor, aka Coninator, friend of the show, by the way.
Damn.
They ask, "Hi Matt and James. Question for you guys. Growing up in the late GameCube, early Wii era, I played a ton of licensed movie, TV, tie-in kids games, things like Battle for Bikini Bottom and the
Oh
like.
no.
My personal favorites were Over the Hedge and Madagascar, off the top of my head. Are there any games like this close to your heart? Stuff you enjoyed that no one really mentions anymore? Thanks for reading my question. I look forward to your answers." All right, that was
Hmm.
from Connor. I'll let you answer first because I have like 40,000 games that I can talk about that all are
Oh
garbage
boy.
objectively, but I have nostalgia for.
Well, I remember. I need to look up this name to make sure I don't get this wrong.
Mhm.
Um, so there's a game called. So this wasn't really like a movie tie or anything, but there's a game called Marvel Nemesis: Rise of the Imperfects.
Okay.
Came out in
That's a Marvel
2005.
name if I've ever
Yeah, it
heard it.
was on GameCube, PS2, PSP, Nintendo DS, and Xbox. Like every single version was different,
Of
and the
course.
story was terrible, god awful. But, but I got to play as Spider-Man, Venom, Captain America, Iron Man, all the cool dudes. So I just ate it up. Like it was like a it was a 3D fighting game. Um I think it was only 1v1. And the whole concept was there were these characters called the Imperfects. They're literally just mutants, but they're not. So oh my god, and some of them were
What does that
so
even mean?
so I don't know how to describe it, man. Some of them were so stupid. Like, let me look up the characters.
The Imperfects.
Oh man, like there was
So it
a
was like a Shippuden, Naruto Shippuden style 3D fighter game, but with Marvel characters and Imperfects.
yeah. So the description of Imperfects is the Imperfects is a group of metahumans mutated by extraterrestrial doctor Niles Van Rokel.
Okay.
Van Rokel chose Earth to perform experiments on their species in order to enhance them to battle an alien creature from his planet of origin. For sure. So the idea is lots of these guys are like criminals, I think. And they're all original characters. So there's Paragon, Johnny Om, Brigade, Solera, The Wink, Fault Zone, and Hazmat. They were, God, like if I said you some of these designs, some of them look so stupid.
I'm looking up the Rise of the Imperfects game right now just to see. I need context for just what the hell this
I,
is.
I think Brigade might be one of the silliest looking things in all of Marvel.
Oh my god. Oh, there's Niles Van Rokel right there. I'm looking at him.
Yep.
He was a fighter too. He wasn't just a doctor. Oh man.
I actually
Yeah.
don't even remember if he was a I don't
No,
think he was a
I'm looking at him. He's on
character
the
in all the
roster.
he wasn't a character in all the versions.
On the PS2 version, it looks like he was.
Yeah, he was on PS2. He wasn't on PSP. So I had
Mhm.
the game on PSP. And one of my friends who lived near my grandma in New York, he had it on his PS2. And so it
Oh
was like
man.
every time we would visit him, it'd be like, okay, well, I've been playing this game on PSP all this time. Time to play a real game on PS2.
Do you want to know how good this game is?
How good?
I'm looking at an eBay listing of a lot of PS2 games, and it's literally all sports games and racing games and this game just in the lot.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Hey, let me look at some of
Um.
the reviews. Yeah, it got like 5 out of 10s across the board.
Oh god. Well, another game on the PlayStation 2, and I guess also multi-plat. Uh, that Conator mentions Battle for Bikini Bottom specifically, which is a game in which I would have loved as a kid, but I convinced my parents asked me as a young child with inability for reason, do you want I will buy you this game, young child, but I will buy you either the PS2 version or the Game Boy version. Pick one. And I was like, "Oh yeah,
Mm.
this was the moment in my life where I realized that the games aren't the same game, you know?
Yeah.
It's back in the day, the mobile versions were just completely different games. Um so I got Battle for Bikini Bottom for GBA, which is a stupid puzzle game. It's like a really not good game. All of this like there's a lot of SpongeBob games on GBA that use like the same puzzle game engine. Straight hot garbage, and I hated it. And I never got to really play Battle for Bikini Bottom, the good one, you know, the console one. I knew I would have
Hmm.
loved that game because my pick would have been SpongeBob the movie game, a game that is slept on because it is very similar to Battle for Bikini Bottom, and I believe it's pretty good. It's pretty fun. It follows the movie,
Hmm.
and it's in. I think it's probably in the same engine or a very similar engine to Battle for Bikini Bottom, and it's a good time. That's a really classic banger of a movie tie-in game. I'm sure there's some weird legality with it that they can't really do a remaster so easily,
Yeah.
in the style of Battle for Bikini Bottom, but I wish they did because it would be cool. Um,
Damn.
Other games of note would include the Lilo and Stitch game for GBA. It's like a weird, like Metal Slug style shooter that's objectively bad.
That sounds like a
Um,
banger.
it kind of is though. Like it's weird. It's like it was really hard for no reason as a kid. It kind of is a banger, but it's kind of not good.
Hmm.
Um, Lion King 1.5 for Game Boy, which is based on the
One and a
Lion King one
half.
and a half movie. Do you remember that? Do you
Vaguely.
remember that? So they re-released Lion King 1, but with like as if Timon and Pumbaa from the movie are like watching the movie and doing like a mystery science theater like commentary track. And they
Hmm.
like do some weird like it's like they're watching the movie and they like comment over it and they do some weird things. Strange. But it got a
Yeah.
GBA game. It was like a Lost Vikings style game where you had multiple characters that you would solve puzzles and do that with. It was kind of
Hmm.
weird. Um, some other movie tie-in, TV tie. Oh, the Ed and Eddie video game on
Hmm.
PS2 and GameCube, which is honestly a pretty good game. It's short. I think it was also on handheld consoles, completely different versions, but like the PS2, whatever. Um, yeah. Do you have any more before I ramble? I have a list of
Um.
many a games.
So I actually just remembered a really funny one. So it was a Ben 10 game. It was called, I think it was Ben 10 Protector of Earth. Yeah, Ben 10 Protector of Earth. And this game was for the Nintendo DS and Wii, I believe. I got the DS version. It was also on PSP and PS2, but yeah, DS version. And what's so funny to me about this game, I don't remember playing it very much. I do remember getting it because I'd really wanted the game, and I was like, walking around the GameStop like holding it, asking my parents to buy it for me, and they kept saying no. And then we left, and then I got home and I realized I still had it in my hand. I'm like, oh,
Oh, you just stole
yeah,
it.
yeah, I did, like unintentionally stole it. I'm
Oh,
like, well, I'm like asking my parents, like, can we go back to bring it back? And they're like, no, no, we don't have time. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it's just mine.
well, to be fair, it was Ben 10, whatever, so it wasn't a total loss.
Yeah, it's like that never like no problems arose from that. I just walked out with the game.
Oh my god. I have a follow-up question for you, but before I do that, here's some honorable mentions for this question. Harry Potter 2 on GameCube and PS2. Game still is a banger. I have
Hmm.
a playthrough of it on my YouTube channel, Matt Fun Dude. Game still slaps. A lot of those Harry Potter games actually are pretty good. Um, yeah, and there's a bunch of other ones. I can talk about this another time, but this kind of got me thinking. Do you remember when you would go into stores sometimes as a kid and there would be
Hmm.
video games in non-video game stores?
Yeah,
Do you have like memory of what you saw often in like stores or like games you've bought from like non-video game stores?
I think Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, like the game. I
Mhm.
bought that. It was some Harry Potter game for Xbox 360. I don't remember which one though.
That's a doozy of a game, that one, because you do nothing but like walk around and talk to students in that
Yeah,
game, which is not unlike the movie, I guess, but it's
yeah.
weird.
It's like damn.
Um, I remember seeing Shadow the Hedgehog all the time, just in like bargain bins at like clothing stores,
Yeah, yeah. That was
and
a
being
common
like
one.
intimidated by it because I thought it was too like adult for me. Because he had
It's
guns. Like I was
E10.
like,
I
ooh.
heard Shadow says heck.
I really was like, oh man, that's like too mature. I can't play it.
Man.
Um, I remember Mega Man Battle Network was always at those stores too, which is the only reason I like own half of those games. But I'm like so nostalgic for them
Hmm.
because they're actually like really good. But I didn't understand how those games worked at all as a kid, and I didn't understand deck building, and I could not appreciate them at all. I'm sure I will appreciate them now when I get the remake, or the re-release on Steam at some point when it goes
Yeah.
cheaper. Um, I have vivid memories of getting Fire Emblem, one of the GBA games, at an airport after my parents were like, "Don't just buy a
An
game because
airport.
it's a game and you want to get it. It's the only one here." It's like, "You really want Fire Emblem?" And
Oh,
then
I
I
think you
got it
told
and I
this
hated
before.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hated it because it was like I perma died. I just was like, I don't want to play a strategy game. What is this? Um, yeah, and just like games like that, and I was kind of like, no, it sucks. I was like barred from buying games like that, like in
Mhm.
that way, because I've had too many bad experiences. And the game that was like, so I was barred from just buying any game because it was a game because I saw it. But I vividly remember being in Disney, right? So big,
Yep.
huge childhood flex, by the way. I went to Disney. Yep, childhood
Yeah.
flex. They had in Disney a stand that was selling Kingdom Hearts for Chain of Memories for GBA, and
Mhm.
I had been burned many times by games just because they were there. So my parents were like, "We're not getting it." And honestly, massive L because that game is actually pretty good.
Massive
I probably
L.
would have hated it as a kid, to be honest, because it's cards again, card based game.
Yeah.
But that would have been the better of the games to get, and now I actually bought a copy of that on eBay, for a pretty reasonable price recently. Still haven't
Mhm.
played it, but yeah. Shoutouts to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories and Rechain of Memories. But yeah, that's pretty good. That was a pretty good question and follow up. And if, again,
Pog
HYEP
question.
podcast at gmail.com if you have any other questions. I kind of want this like let's get into a little bit of like future, I guess, planning for the pod.
Yeah.
Ideally, I would like the podcast to be like half question and answer, basically. So just
Yeah.
kind of like 30 minutes of catching up on news in our week, and then like 30 minutes of question answer.
Mhm.
So any questions you got, please send them in. We really appreciate it.
Pretty
Maybe
please.
I should probably plug the email at the very beginning of the podcast starting next week, maybe
Yeah,
if I
probably.
remember, just to get people to send in more questions because I think it's fun to hear from people and their childhood experiences with games, and it's fun to reminisce about stories and like where were you when you got your Wii for the first time or something like that. I don't know, but yeah. Um, you know what? I think let's just call it a pod. I think it was a good pod.
Yeah,
Um,
it was a pod. There, I called it a pod.
I'm Matt, aka Matt Fun Dude. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch at Matt Fun Dude and YouTube. I plan on for real this time, for real streaming probably this weekend or maybe during the week. Depends how depressed I am. So
Damn.
we'll see. Yeah, sometimes you need to play a little horror games to raise the spirits, you know.
Yep.
But who are you?
Yes, I've been James 04E, right? AKA James, AKA. You can find me on
Also known as.
yes. You can find me on the Twitch and the Twitters at James04E. I'll maybe stream one day. Who knows? Maybe it'll be tomorrow. Well, you won't know if you don't follow me. So get following.
All right, and with that, it's been a pod. Goodbye.
Goodbye.